Hello Excel enthusiasts, welcome back to my channel. I am Hayotunde Ajibola, and today we are diving into a comprehensive Excel tutorial that covers some fundamental operations you will encounter frequently. Whether you're a PC user or a Mac, we've got you covered on tips and tricks that will enable your Excel proficiency. In this tutorial, we will be exploring the power of the equal sign, demonstrating the various operations from referencing sales values to performing calculations. For our Mac users, don't worry, I've got you covered on those minor variations. We will delve into the proficiency of absolute cell references, ensuring consistency in your calculations, especially when dealing with fixed values like tax rates across multiple rows. Watch out for the time-saving tricks when copying formulas vertically or horizontally in a large data set. Ever wondered about transforming your data into visually appealing tables? I've got a section covered on that too. Learn how to convert a regular data range into a formatted table, enhancing both visual presentation and functionality. Navigating through a large data set can be time consuming, but fear not, I will share some keyboard shortcuts that will enhance your ability to swiftly move around and select data in Excel. Lastly, stay tuned for a neat feature called Flash Fill, a time-saving trick that automates data preparation and formatting tasks. It's a game changer when you have repetitive tasks like combining first and last names. So, whether you're a seasoned Excel user or just getting started, there's something for everyone in today's tutorial. Let's dive in and elevate our Excel skills together. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you haven't done that already. And let's excel together on this channel. Before commencing, let us review a few fundamental Excel operations. Primarily, these are the items that we will utilize extensively over the duration of the course. For this lesson, I'll be using a PC to record. Some of you may be using a Mac. There are just minor variations between the two. Occasionally, when I mention the term control, such as when I want to utilize the Control D feature on the PC, it may correspond to the Command D function on the Mac. However, let's proceed. Here, I'm going to demonstrate the power of the equal sign. The equal sign enables us to perform various operations. For instance, if I wish to determine the contents of another cell, I can select the equals function and then proceed to copy the contents of B3. Here, I'll input B3. Furthermore, any alteration to this value to 100 will result in a corresponding modification of the content in cell F3. Let's revert this to its original state by clicking on the undo button. Another option available to us is the ability to combine cells. Thus, we have the ability to generate concise equations. In this particular scenario, I intend to do the addition operation between the contents of cell B3 and the contents of cell B12. Thus, the value of cell B12 is 100 and the value of cell B3 is 10. And that will yield a sum of 110, exactly as we anticipated. If this value in this specific location were to be modified to 200, it will consequently alter the value in the corresponding cell to 210. Let's revert that back to 100. Another task is to calculate the sum of the cells B3, B4, B5, and so on till B12. Entering that into Excel manually will need a significant amount of time, but my ability lies in determining the presence of a formula. There's a formula called the sum formula. Therefore, I will input the sum function starting with the equal sign, and you observe it immediately begins to populate in the lower section. If I select on the sum by double clicking it, you'll see that it's asking about the specific items of value I wish to add together. I have the capacity or ability to once again select each of these items, each of the cells individually. But alternatively, instead of doing that, I can specify that I want to include all the values starting from B3 and continuing downwards until B12. To do that, I'm going to input B3 colon B12 and then close my parentheses. As you can see, it has included all the elements from B3 to B12. If this value were to change to say maybe 500, it would affect the values in both of these locations. Our objective here is to determine the tax amount for each of these sales with the tax rate fixed at 10%. Here I'll calculate the tax on the sale of £749 by multiplying that by the tax rate in B3. That would give me a tax amount of £74.9. If I choose to replicate the given formula and extend it downwards, I'm able to proceed with that action. As you can see, copy the content of here with the formula and copy it down there. However, it's clear that this approach does not yield a satisfactory result. Instead, I will take an action to have the cell B3, that is the tax rate of 10%, fixed for all of the sales values. Excel inferred that if B3 was required in this particular location, B4, B5, B6 will be required in the subsequent locations. This is the sequence of events that occurred. Now we want to ensure that it precisely targets B3 as it will consistently represent the tax rate. To do that, I will ensure its securement by proceeding towards B3, and I consistently desire it to be at that. I will come to the formula bar, write exactly at B3 and input the combination of Fn, F4. This will generate a cell that is absolute with an absolute value by adding $sign to the reference. Therefore, B3 will remain unchanged indefinitely. Alternatively, I could perform this task manually by adding $signs to B3 in the formula, but using the keyboard shortcut Fn plus F4 streamlines the process for me. This value remains unchanged at this point, but pay attention to what Excel can do if we decide to copy down. I'm able to click over this little handle here, that is the small square in the bottom right corner. I will initiate a click on that and drag it down. Excel currently maintains the reference to B3 for the tax rate in every of this instance. If I decide to modify the tax rate to say maybe 9%, all the computed values adjust accordingly. This practice of employing absolute cell references ensures the consistency of calculation, particularly when dealing with fixed values like tax rates across various rows in Excel. It enhances efficiency and reduces the risk of errors when working with large data sets or when formulas are replicated across multiple cells. Another point I would like to highlight is that although we are not required to directly replicate the formulas to the adjacent cell on the right, it's an option. You will observe that the formula remains fixed on B3. To determine the sale amount inclusive of tax, we can add the value in one cell to the value in the adjacent cell. For example, to find the total for the first sale, it's the sum of the sale amount in E4 plus the tax amount in F4. To efficiently apply this across the entire table, I could drag the formula down. However, Excel offers a convenient feature. Instead of dragging the formula down manually, I can simply double-click on the small square in the bottom right corner of the cell. It's called the fill undo. Excel intelligently detects that I want to extend the formula to fill the adjacent cells in the column. This is a time-saving trick, especially when working with large data sets. So whether it's copying formulas vertically or horizontally, Excel provides efficient tools to streamline these processes, making data manipulation more convenient. Our objective in this scenario is to calculate the total weight of potatoes and thereafter transfer that data to a separate table. This is simple. We can input the sum function here and thereafter calculate the sum of all the given values. As a result, we have reached the desired outcome. There's a total of 135 pounds of potatoes. However, when copying and subsequently pasting it in this location, you will observe that the weight is no longer 135 pounds. This discrepancy arises due to the fact that the formula assumes that by wanting to add these 5 values here, you intend to sum the corresponding values in this particular area. Although it may be nice in certain situations, in this specific instance, I intend to transfer the exact weight of potatoes to that location. To address this, I will consider a couple of options. One approach is to use the copy and then paste special. opting for the value option. This replaces the formula with its fixed value of 135, ensuring it won't change even if the source values are modified. However, the drawback is that it becomes fixed, so changes made to this table will not be reflected here. Altering this value to 5 here will result in a total of 125 pounds of potato. This value here cannot be modified. That's not what we want. I'm going to undo this. To avoid that, I can either make the potato cell equal to the original sum by putting equals to and clicking on this. Or recall the absolutes we recently examined. I want the range to consistently go from B4 to B8. Using the keyboard shortcuts FN, F4 on B4 and B8 helps lock in these absolute references. Now when I copy and paste this formula into another location, the sum always corresponds to the total pounds of potatoes from the specified range B4 to B8. This ensures that any changes in the original data are dynamically represented in both locations. Another handy feature in Excel is the ability to transform a regular range of data into a more visually appealing and functional table. To do this, simply position yourself anywhere within the data and on the PC, press Ctrl T. Excel will then prompt you asking if this is the area you want to convert into a table. Confirm it is. Upon confirming, Excel transforms the selected range into a formatted table. Not only does this enhance the visual presentation, but it also introduces additional functionality. Furthermore, you can customize the formatting by utilizing the options available in the toolbar, offering various styles and designs for your table. This feature not only makes your data look more polished, but also provides a range of tools to work with and analyze the data more effectively. Occasionally, we may encounter a situation where our data set is significantly large, and navigating through it may require a considerable amount of time. Navigating through the content by scrolling downward or upwards may require a lot of time for you to do. Instead, I can utilize my Control key and arrow keys. Note that I am positioned at the extreme left side of my data set. I would want to inquire about the number of rows in this data set. By pressing the Control key and the down arrow key simultaneously, I'm able to navigate directly to the bottom. We have reached row 93. I'm able to utilize the Control feature to navigate to the rightmost end of my data set. Pressing the Control key and the arrow up key allows me to navigate directly to the header. Press the Control and the arrow left key. This brings me back to almost the same point where I began. I am now going to be utilizing the Control Shift option. The Control Shift and the right arrow keys allows me to select the entire first row. Let's return to its initial point. I can do Control Shift down. It now allows me to highlight the entire first column. And if I want to grab all the data, I can hit Control A. And it allows me to grab everything. Now, if I don't want the header, you might say, is there a way around that? Yes, there's a way. So I can do Control Shift right arrow and then the down arrow key, and now it's gotten me all of the numbers in the data set. These keyboard shortcuts significantly enhance your ability to swiftly navigate and select data in a large Excel dataset. Lastly, there's a neat feature in Excel that can save a lot of time. It's called the flash fill. Let's say you have a list where you've got the first names in one column and the last names in another, and you want to concatenate them into a single column for the full names. For example, you've done this manually for the first person on the list, but doing it for the entire list could be time consuming. Instead, you can leverage the flash fill to automate this process. Here's how you do that. Select the cell where you've manually combined the first and the last name. Delete the column where you want the full names and press Ctrl E on Windows, or Mac you might want to use Command E. By doing this, Excel intelligently recognizes the pattern you've established, which is combining first and last name with a space, and it applies it to the entire column, saving you the effort of manually typing each full name. It's a handy trick that can be used to expedite data preparation and formatting tasks in Excel. Fantastic! We have delved into crucial Excel functions in this tutorial. I trust you have gleaned valuable insights for your Excel journey. If you found this training beneficial, do consider subscribing to my channel. Press on the notification bell to stay in the loop for my upcoming Excel videos. Stay tuned for more profound Excel tutorials as we elevate your statistical skills. Thank you for being part of this tutorial, and here's to a journey to happy excelling.